Friends, to another episode of the Second Age Show. I hope you're very excited. We have some really cool people here. First of all, Cathy.
Hi, I'm super giddy because today some of our scoops are going to be very interesting to shippers. So buckle up. It's getting spicy in unexpected ways. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's one way to start the video. Harry, hi, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, thank you. I don't think I can top that amazing introduction.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited to be here.
Yeah, and of course, doing all our background stuff regarding the video. So thank you very much for that. And our main man, Warking, our resident dwarf master. How are you, man? Or dwarf?
It's mixed, you know. It's exciting that I'm here and we're sharing some new scoops, and they're spicy, but they're not dwarven. So that's a little bit, but I'm excited for who the scoops involve. So let's go ahead and roll right into all the scoops that we got today. Pretty decent amount.
Yeah. So, well put. So I'll just then read the first one, and then we can get right into it. So the first scoop of the day: Pelargir is the location that will be visited in the Rings of Power Season 2. Soldiers will arrive to Pelargir on boat, row to shore, and be in the village streets in Episode 8 of the Rings of Power Season 2. So we got our first news of Pelargir, basically, for the second season. So what do we think of this? Cathy?
Well, you know,
Yeah. Do you want me to take over?
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. You know, like it's soldiers arriving in Pelargir. To me, the biggest deal is that this information is for episode 8, which is the finale. So coming to Pelargir, you know, like soldiers, obviously not from Pelargir, from somewhere, you know, like that should be significant because it's the finale. So whether it's going to be some kind of cliffhanger for the next season or something else, you know, like we'll find out, you know, like as it goes, but for now, you know, like that's what it is.
I know, I agree with that in a way because it's episode 8 and it's more so which we tried to get confirmation but we didn't get it in time as to which soldiers would be coming to shore. It's most likely, in my opinion, that it is Elven, based off like what else we know that we can't reveal today. So I do generally think that it is Elven soldiers coming to the shores of Pelargir in episode 8, which chronologically wise makes it quite interesting. Then of course the big thing is it Numenorian soldiers? That would be a big thing, because you know what happens with the Battle of the Gothlo. They arrive Kiriata with his fleet, but probably not that this season, I don't think, personally. So I'm guessing that is Elven soldiers. But yeah, as Cathy rightly mentioned, this is the poor thing's episode 8. So are they coming back from a battle? And we also haven't ruled out the point that could this be Orc soldiers and maybe Pelargir has been overrun, because that potentially could link to our second and next scoops. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
So before we jump to that, Varking, do you think in case, so this is not confirmed in any way, but in case these are elves, could they just be running away from some dwarves or something? You know, what might have happened there? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think the possibility that it could be Elven or Numenorian or possibly Uruks showing up via boat. All those possibilities are pretty cool. The Elven one I kind of like because maybe the elves aren't arriving. Maybe they're actually leaving. You know, they're running away as elves typically do. We know they're not dwarves. They can't possibly be dwarves arriving on boat because one, just with how stout they are, the boats would sink. And two, we ride in barrels, as found out in the Hobbit trilogy.
True.
So we know it's not dwarves. Dwarves wouldn't need to come via boat to save the day, as they typically do. But yeah, I point towards, I would think maybe more elves are showing up to try to help turn the tides of battle, but it could definitely be. I mean, Numenorians have the history, and that's kind of what they do. And they came via boat season 1. Maybe they're going to be on more bigger boats that can house more horses in season 2.
Yeah, I think so too. Like it's strange if these are indeed elves, which is a rumor we heard. It is weird, definitely. If they're coming to Pelargir all the way there, I don't know. I'm not sure what they would be doing there. It would make more sense for Numenorians to arrive. Perhaps they are already there in some way. Perhaps they arrived somewhere earlier in the season or something. I don't know. Honestly, I'm a bit confused. What are the implications of if these are elves? But
Wait, sorry, 1 second. I just want to, before we move on to the next one, I think the bigger thing, first of all, is that we've talked about the soldiers in episode 8, but the fact that it's Pelargir is also an interesting thing, and we know we're seeing it in the second season, and of course, it was predominantly, I think, it was for the faithful. It was like a refuge for them there, and we know from the show. Did they say in episode 7 that it was abandoned or something, or old, something old, or like?
It was kind of an implication. It was like an old abandoned Numenorian settlement. So that is
And we know, of course, Isildur at some point must end up out of Mordor, and a Numenorean faithful settlement. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 and 2 are put together, personally. But yeah, it's interesting that we haven't even looked at the fact that we are seeing Pelargir in the second season. We're going to see a new area of men. We're going to see new characters there, and of course, different to Southlanders, I believe. They're close to Mordor, etc. So it would be an interesting. This is more off the coast, so we'll see a different vibe, I guess, to compare to what type of men factions we saw in season 1. Just thought it was an interesting point.
Yeah, and I hope it's going to be a bigger settlement. Like I'm hoping that we will finally in this season, because that was one of the problems in the first season, start seeing the settlements have like a proper scale. Like
Yep, that was actually what I wanted to mention. We got set photos that we received and released like last year around Bovingdon Airfield Studios of this massive village. I'll put on screen right now and actually look quite massive. So that could potentially be Pelargir. Who knows? But yeah, I think that's actually sorry. But yeah, you just reminded me of that. I'll put those on screen right now.
That's why we're doing this. So hopefully we get. Hopefully it's not a village. Hopefully it's a proper town.
Oh yeah,
we can see like this kingdom or whatever, or like like a city or like a city state or whatever of men.
I think because for the construction on set, it's called a village because it's not.
Yeah, obviously not gonna they're not gonna create a whole city, obviously.
Yeah, you're right though.
True. So the next basically fits right into this one is the next bit of news is that at a human village, though it is not confirmed if this is also Pelargir, it might be some other place. Halbrand will be giving big speeches to the human village inhabitants. He also gives a very big speech to humans in a forest, which was filmed in Surrey. So, I mean, maybe we can get back to Harry again because you're a local.
Yeah.
Can you maybe tell us something about this area?
Yep. So, first of all, for the village where these scenes are filmed, I believe it was a village that was built in Bray Studios, and there's a high chance this is also Pelargir, but again, we just like the elves, we cannot fully confirm, so we're not going to outright state that, but there is a big possibility between the two. And in Surrey, I believe that is close to where actually, funnily enough, a lot of some of the battle filming was, but it was separate. I got it concluded that this is not battle filming, which was happening here. It was more, especially the stuff in the forest, that was particularly a lot of takes taken as meant to be an important speech. But I think the interesting thing here is, are we going to be seeing from Halbrand this the Kings of Men storyline where he started, after being defeated, they rose due to the time compression, he rose back up to go into all the eastern villages, then came across going through all the old Numenorian settlements, rising up against them. Is that potentially what we're seeing here? Will Halbrand potentially, of course you can't confirm it, but being Pelargir, but we'll know he will be with men in the second season, which is quite interesting to see where his storyline goes. And that it's not exclusively in Mordor, even though most of it is most of it, the filming was in, although he did film some scenes with humans at different villages, which could be Pelargir.
Yeah. So, Cathy, do you think that we might see Halbrand interacting with one of the perhaps future ring rates on one of these sets?
It's possible, but I just want to add to what Harry said about Halbrand, maybe, trying to do king of Southland's role, because it makes sense to me that he would use that as leverage, since nobody knows that he's a fake. The elves are far away, so they're not going to tell. Galadriel didn't reveal who he really is. So in that area in Southlands, they still believe that he's the king, and he's probably going to tell them that elves are no good because
Because they're not.
it makes sense. But one thing that I'm worried about, I'm nervous about, is the speech itself, because in my opinion, when they do speeches in movies and on shows, it should be something special. It shouldn't be done too many times, just workman, just to move the plot forward, in the sense that character gets a large number of people to do their bidding, in a short time. And also, speeches are not for everyone, some actor, very few actors really do good speeches. And in Rings of Power, we had a number of speeches that were,
They didn't really hit the target. Yeah.
they didn't cut the mustard. Let's put it politely, so. It's fine for those characters, but this is Sauron. You expect something, really grand from him, and I'm not sure that we are going to get Theoden type of a grand speech, that kind of charisma, that kind of, a booming voice, I'm really not sure about that. And I'm really nervous, because I think that, with character like his, you either do it and it's really fantastic, and, people are hyped to follow, King of Southlands, who is actually Sauron, or people pellet him with rotten eggs and tomatoes, and and he realizes that he isn't a charismatic leader, and that his strength lies in something else, such as stealth, deception, gifts, and so forth. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, I'm a little wary about it.
Well, I would say that Sauron is supposed to be one with a silver tongue. So doing a big speech should be his forte, I would say. But yeah, it is the question of whether the actor can pull it off or not.
And to add to that, the one at the forest is meant to be a big speech, like an important speech. Of course, the stuff at the village, he does some talking. I think there's probably dialogue things, and he does probably smaller speeches. But the one in the forest to lots of men, I think, will be an important thing. But Varking, some actors who are actually at some of these locations for these speeches and at the village sets, don't you?
Yeah, but before I break off into that, though, I just want to say I am actually excited for Charlie as Halbrand to be able to give this speech. I think if people go back to our old streams, I hadn't really been sold on his character up until the reveal, and I knew what was coming, but I felt like I wasn't going to be fully won over. And it wasn't a mass, party speech, but that chat he had with Galadriel when he hit her with before the breaking of the first silence. That was like his opportunity where just through talking, he really won me over. I was really impressed with how that played out. And I think for a lot of people online, their feelings on his character sort of changed a little bit during those moments. So I am excited for that. But I mean, this has to happen earlier in the season, because this isn't like the last one where we said episode 8, because he's still Halbrand here.
Right.
And he's not Sauron giving a speech or some other entity. He's Halbrand. So it's got to be early on, and it makes sense plot wise. Like if he's going to go to some new area and ask for favors, he's going to have to do some convincing. As far as other talent that is around, the next exclusive that we have is that actors also at this village during the speeches are Adar, who is played by Sam Hazeldine in season 2, Amelia Kenworthy, and Zaitz Atur. That is the third scoop that we are dropping today.
So is this the first substantial evidence we have that Halbrand, maybe at least for some bit of the season, will be potentially working together unless they're like killing each other's heads off at this village set? That's probably
Or
Pelargir.
maybe they're fighting over the girl.
Actually, that is an interesting thing that we'll actually get back to later on.
Bucky,
But
you
right
can
now,
maybe also just add the next scoop as well, so we can then discuss it all together.
Okay, we'll throw in number 4 as a little freebie for you guys and not make you come to our Patreon to get this scoop, but it's Amelia Kenworthy and Zaitz Yatur are said to not be human characters. And for those who caught a glimpse of her Instagram not too long ago, she had a little bit of an emoji drop in one of her photos, and it was an elf.
Dum dum dum.
Dum dum.
I'm not saying she is. I'm just saying if you read into those kinds of things,
Yeah.
it was definitely not a dwarf emoji.
Yeah. It just didn't seem like the humans were human extras and is meant to be for men, but it seemed like the character Yazen plays and Amelia Kenworthy plays aren't necessarily humans as well, is what we learned from that, which is quite interesting. So yeah.
Halbrand's got a little group going of Uruks, elves, and they're on their way talking to humans. That's a lot of
he's creating his own. Yeah, he's creating his own fellowship there. It seems like.
Yes.
Maybe he's not the bad guy.
Just bringing people together.
Yeah.
Sharing rings, sharing jewelry, bringing people together under one cause. That's that's what graphic does do.
I feel like this. I mean, and it's not confirmation because we don't know the exact plot, but it makes me feel like this is cool for Amelia because she's around Adar, who is a beloved character from season 1, and Halbrand, who is Sauron. And so it kind of feels like maybe she's got a bigger role than what people had been expecting or anticipating. So like this kind of raises a lot of questions, and it's a lot of opportunity for her to really, get a chance to shine here on screen with them.
Yep. And it's interesting around the fact that Adar is here. Halbrand's given the speech, and Adar's on these sets too. And maybe does it seem like finally this shows that they maybe made a deal? Like, we have a common enemy. I think that's what I'm leading to currently. Whether that's for the whole season, I don't know. But all I know currently is that it seems like from this, they seem to be on talking terms.
On talking terms.
Yeah, talking terms. It's good, but you can see actually a progression, for Adar, just based on scoops that we covered in the second Jade shows. We have scoops that he and Sauron, aka Halbrand, were in Mordor sets in the beginning. And then, now we got those scoops that, Adar was around battle sets, elven sets, which obviously seems to be, near the end of the show. And now we have this one about Sauron's speech. So I think that might be somewhere in the middle, so you can see the progression, of the character. Something happened in Mordor, and obviously he earned the trust, is cheerleader during Halbrand's speech, and then he is in the battle. So it's interesting. Our boy has come a long way, But as far as the actors in this scene go, I would say that because they play non-humans, I don't think that Amelia Kenworthy is going to play like orc or something. She's beautiful, she's just going to be beautiful on the show. So elf is most likely, and that I think is interesting because you have Sauron and elves, and that one elf and orcs. So what is elf doing with like Halbrand and orcs, it's kind of unusual. It's interesting to think, like what's the implication of that, right? And we don't know if she knows that Halbrand is actually Sauron, or she just thinks that he's a king of Southlands. So that could be some very interesting dynamic between elf, assuming that she plays one, which is most likely, our main orc Adar, and Halbrand, aka Sauron in disguise. So,
well, I think one option here is, what if Amelia plays another half elf, half orc? What if she is something similar to Adar? One of those,
She's getting corrupted.
yeah, or like she was one of those first, like as they call them in the show, Moriondor.
but very big.
I mean, yeah, obviously, but
I mean, like she's not going to have like some disfigurement.
yeah, but that doesn't matter. She can still be somewhere between an elf and an orc, and just have this maybe darker beauty or something. But still, like that's one option as well, I think, because the one thing that's super important, and I mean, I keep going back to that, Sauron needs to build his forces. We need to see a lot of orcs serving and following Sauron by the end of the second season, because he needs them for the battle. So what I'm thinking is perhaps Amelia is just maybe leading another tribe or like a section of orcs similar to Adar, perhaps. Barking? What are your thoughts on this? And also, yeah.
Well, I think that would be cool. I mean, they had said that, we have female orcs in season 1. Couldn't really, tell from watching, because it's not like they gave us like this is what a female orc looks like compared to a male orc. But maybe she's the first, like she's the lead orc at the top of Tolkien Tinder. She's the first really attractive female orc, and maybe that's why they're fighting over her. Maybe she's in the process of being corrupted. She was an elf, and they're trying to do that, like that slow corruption into becoming sort of an orc. Or she's just an elf that they happened to find. Maybe they captured her along the way. Maybe she was originally a scout and was trying to find them or follow them through the woods. And Adar or Halbrand got some of their troops together and captured her. We don't, like, there's so many possibilities when we don't fully know the plot. And that's always been the fun part for me. And I think for a lot of us during season 1 was, before we knew anything, being able to just share like what our wildest, most imaginative thoughts were about all these different stories and plot lines and where everything was going. I just think it's cool that she's around the best of the baddies, and hopefully that leads to some decent screen time, and we can, a big complaint people had in season 1 was that we didn't get to spend enough time with each of these characters. There were so many main characters, and we're introducing more new characters in season 2, but hopefully it's filmed in a way where we can kind of get behind them and understand them and appreciate them. So when something happens to them, or when they have a big moment, we feel like it's a big moment. If something bad happens to them, we feel bad that something is happening to them. I hope that story-wise they get this knocked out.
That is very well said. I very much agree with that. Yeah, we need to know the characters more and just to feel their relationships with each other more. And speaking of that, Harry, do you want to share something with us?
Sure. The final scoop of today is that Amelia Kenworthy, before filming, did chemistry tests with 2 actors, Charlie Vickers, who plays Halbrand, and Sam Hazeldine, who plays Adar. So I think this
What do you mean chemistry test? You mean like they had a beaker and some chemicals?
Well, for chemistry test, it's often 2 actors do all actors before they get the role, or before one. If you have one actor that's already cast and you're looking for another actor, you have to make sure that if these 2 actors are going to have lots of scenes together or lots of moments together, they have to be kind of right for each other, be able to like work well together. Otherwise, if their dynamic is important for the show, then it's important, or for a movie, it's important for them to see if that relationship will work beforehand. But I'm sure, Cathy, you are more knowledgeable in this whole section than me, so I'm sure you want to take it away.
So chemistry is basically everyone knows what that means, except working. Okay, he's joking. So yeah, I mean, like actors have to have like connection on the screen, like that you can buy the relationships. And even though they do chemistry tests for different kind of relationships, not just romantic. Let's not kid ourselves, like Charlie Vickers is young and handsome. Emilia Kenworthy is young and beautiful, like they're going for romantic chemistry testing, like it's going to be coded in like sexy chemistry, romance, that kind of thing, even if it isn't over on the screen, like it's going to be shippy, like so. And we know that her character is with him, with his people. So, like they're going to interact a lot, like, and when it's male, female, like interacting, and if they don't, when they don't play siblings, unless of course Lannisters and Targaryens, like people see romantic, like the chemistry, romance,
And I just want to quickly say, that's not what we're reporting. That's
yeah, sure.
Cathy's. That's Cathy's belief on it. So we don't have
That's her
information.
fantasy.
Yeah. I mean, like, what I'm trying to say is that even when relationships between male and female characters are not like overly romantic, shows and movies make sure that they are coded and seen as such, because that like brings the buzz, brings the shipping, like audience gets involved, like will they, won't they? So like make no mistake, this is going to be a shippy thing, like as for Adar, we'll see if it's going to be like kind of a romantic triangle, like with Adar being, like maybe like Grima Wormtongue, like kind of,
I think Cathy, maybe you can write like a fan fiction on this, because you seem to have like a lot of like a whole scenario already. I would say for one, I hope that I hope that that's not where they're going with, because I don't think we need another Sauron romance. Again, this is also my opinion. I'm also not saying that anything is like that, but I think that it would be cool to have perhaps some cool power dynamic between Adar, and if Amelia is maybe one of the antagonists as well, perhaps we could see like a power struggle there or something like that.
Yeah.
But then again, who knows? As Martin said, there are many ways she can end up there. She could be a part of I don't know, some scout. Like, let's say that the elves from one of the previous scoops, that the soldiers are elves. What if, since they are arriving at the end of the season, what if Amelia is part of some reconnaissance troops sent to the Southlands to see what's up there? She gets captured, and because she's also captured, she's maybe an important source of information for the orcs. She may just end up being a prisoner present during Sauron's. During all of those things that we were just discussing. So there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
We just know that these actors are there. The Halbrand is having some public speeches, public discussions, and who knows what. But we don't actually know how all of them end up here, and we don't know when exactly in the season. So basically, it's all fair game at this point.
Yep.
Yes, that's true. Like, and the last thing that I'm going to say is that I can't
No, it's
wait
not.
for for fans to sound off on our the server and in AMA. Like I'm sure that we are going to get a lot of questions about this. Like, so I want to hear their opinion. Barking, you have.
I'm gonna stoke the flames a little bit. One, if they're doing chemistry tests, it's likely not for an actor and actress who just have one scene together. You probably don't need a chemistry test for that. You do them because they're playing a bigger role. So this kind of doesn't confirm, but it leads you to believe more and more that she does have a larger role than just like a background character or somebody we're only going to see, once or twice, and then they're kind of gone. If this is a a Halbrand won't they romance thing, then Hallie got a type. He's after him, pale skin, blonde haired, young, pretty, like he went from Galadriel to whatever her character's name is going to be, and then maybe that's not a good sign for her. Maybe he's trying to collect them like the Silmarils. There's 3 of them. Come season 3, he'll be on another young blonde, non-brown eyed, pale skin elf. That's his thing. If you got the long ears, that's kind of what he goes for. If it's for Adar, we already connect with Adar. A lot of people already love him. Thought he was one of the best characters from season 1. I think we had him in the tier list as an S tier character, and his storyline was solid, and he had a lot of great moments in the show. But you know what he didn't have? He didn't have him a Bay. He didn't have him a little Bay Melia Kenworthy. You know what I'm saying? Lord, Father, Daddy Adar. I'm just saying that the memes would be good. The shippers would be pleased. I'm not anti it. I'm not anti it. But I think it's cool that she is having chemistry tests with 2 of the big bads in the show, and that shows that she has a larger role in general.
Yeah, I think I agree with what you said. It would be interesting to see her as again. If I had to pick one thing for her, well, ideally, out of the context of all of this piece of news that we have about her,
you want to ship her with Adar?
I would want her to be Calabrian because I'm hoping Calabrian is in the show. But that is just a hope. That has nothing to do with this. Ideally, out of everything, when I saw her, I was like, perhaps, hopefully, she's Calabrian. But I think in the context of everything here, it would be cool if she was one of the, as I said, one of the orcs that, or like half elves, half orcs, basically, that Adar is. So I think it would be really cool if she was somewhere along on the same line as that. But yeah,
I think fan casting supports you on that. I think a lot of people, when they did the announcement of the new actors and actresses that were going to be a part of season 2, a bunch of people were predicting that that's exactly who she would be, and then they were trying to figure out, she kind of looks like
she could be,
Morph, little younger version maybe, and you could pair that off with Elrond later on, like season 3 or 4, whatever, because they're obviously playing around with the time in the show. Like, it's not linear here. I think they're pulling stuff that's further ahead in the story and bringing it back, and then there's times where they're taking something that's already passed and bringing it in. So I could see it, and that would be a cool dynamic if that's kind of like, well, God, I don't want to make lore purist mad. Like, if she shows up on the boat and that's how Elrond gets to see her for the first time after a big battle, and she's looking at him all bloodied and thought he was just some poet type, but now he's a BA on the battlefield too. And then how can you resist that kind of guy?
I mean, hey,
maybe that's
that sounds like a good way to meet your bae. Why not?
Yeah.
Can I say something? I know I promised I won't, but
it's all right. Marking already announced it, so
I was thinking about this a lot. I didn't want to bring it up, but Varking brought it up, and you brought it up, so I want to say this. If she could be Calabrian, whatever, and fall in love with Halbrand, who doesn't return his feelings, just like Elvin and Aragorn, except that this is a little bit worse, because he's Sauron, right? And then she finds peace and quiet with Elrond, and I think, because, wait a second, they coded Halbrand as Aragorn figure. So I wouldn't be surprised, and we know that and they didn't chemistry test Emilia Kenworthy just for 2 scenes. They're going to be together on the show for quite some time, so we can say that they're probably going to be the male-female dynamic like Galadriel and Halbrand in season 1. Maybe not on that scale, but similar.
We can't confirm that. That's just your we can't confirm
in that storyline. So if she let's say, is, like Calabrian. Maybe she goes under a fake name, like maybe she's rebelling against her mom and, like whatever, like that sort of thing. They might reveal it in season 3, not in season 2, because there's a lot of things going on, like that this would be just too much. But anyway, like that's what I'm just wanted to say, that I would not, like write off this option, like so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say just as as a response to that, I sincerely, very deeply, wholeheartedly hope that nothing of that is going to happen, because if they do go that way and we see another Finves, one person that comes from the Finve High King of the Noldor, and has a romance with Sauron, I'm going to be so angry. I'm going to be very disappointed. So I just really hope that none of that does happen. Harry, what were you going to say?
To wrap this up and put it into perspective, so what I'm sure after this, if it doesn't get clarified as much, this will probably go all over Twitter and stuff like that. So we know Amelia has had chemistry tests with not only Charlie Vickers but with Sam Hazeldine, and it seems like those actors for a bit of the season are going to be together as well. So it seems like she's going to be working with them for a bit, and it's an interesting thing that she did have a chemistry test with them. It could be possible, but we cannot confirm if it's due to romantic reasons, whether that's a chemistry test. Cathy gave some good points as to why it could be a romantic chemistry test, or why it might not be. And Strider and I think Varkin spoke about how maybe it's for Adar instead. But in reality, all we know is that there has been chemistry tests, and again, important with all this stuff. I know shipping and stuff and Bay stuff is important, but remember, at the end of the day, these people are actors as well. So I just wanted to put this out there. So I know it can be fun, but just that's just the point I wanted to make out before, because I know we've mentioned before of Charlie Vickers and everything that's happened with him. So just want to be careful of, like, just remembering that these people are actors, and even though they're having chemistry tests, they also have personal lives as well. So
and also having chemistry tests doesn't mean that they are romantically involved. That can just be that they want to have a good presence together on the screen.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And also, they're not having chemistry tests in real life. This is for a show. That's an important thing to end it on. We don't want to cause too much trouble. But that is it for today. So I think Strider, you should round it up.
Yeah, well, I think we covered this, so that we had basically 5 pieces of news for today, and I think we did a lot with all of them. So yeah, I guess we can just wrap it up for today, and we are looking to hear everybody's comments, theories, share them. We are going to also have an AMA right after this on our Discord channel, so please join. Links are in the description, and I guess we can only just say goodbye. So, Barking, it was a pleasure having you.
Pleasure to be here as always, and be shipping something for my first time on any Fellowship of Fans stream. I will just say this: maybe there's another way to make orcs. Because Adar said in season 1, you have been told many lies about Middle Earth, and maybe one of them was how orcs are made, and we're gonna find out come season 2. I'm just saying, I'm shipping it.
All right, Cathy.
Pleasure to be here. Like this was so much fun, and have fun shipping. Like I'm glad that we got an extra shipper. Like first time Barking. So yeah.
All right. Well, Harry, thank you very much for doing all the background stuff. Everything you see on the screen is thanks to this guy and our buddy Kyle from long ago who set it up. So thank you for that.
Yep, and I think thank you. No worries. I think it's been Varkin and Cathy having the best time of the world, and it's been me and Strider just
just being along for the ride.
No, it's good to have a balance.
Y'all were being serious, and we were bringing the humor.
Yeah, it's good to have a balance. So
all right. Well, see you all next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Namaste.